We're going to get to the first start of this, but just to recap you on this project, over the summer, our buddy Ricky brought this MCI 9 here, and it smoked really, really bad. He had just bought it, and it was smoking so bad, I was like, man, there's something very wrong with this engine. So unfortunately, we went ahead and tore into the engine. It had tons of damage on the cylinder liners, scratching, scoring on the liners, very low on compression because of it. The engine had been severely overheated. He had just bought it like this. The pistons were all showed signs of being so hot, and the engine was just cooked. So bearings were bad. We got into it. We were just going to do an in-frame on it. When we got into doing the main bearings, we noticed that some of the timing gears were chipped, and then we spun it around a little bit more, and some of the timing gear teeth were completely missing on the gear train. So an in-frame was no longer possible on this engine. An out-of-frame would have cost 5 times what the bus was worth, so it wasn't worth it. So we took some time to find an engine. Our buddy Brandon at Cardinal Coach had this engine that had come in on a bus. It had been a good running engine until it came in one day making a horrible noise from the blower. He thought the blower drive shaft was going bad on it. If you remember this video, Ricky brought this here with his truck, and his truck couldn't pull it up the hill. Actually, the engine was nearly pulling the truck backwards down the hill. It was so much weight. At one point, the truck and the trailer were just parked on the hill, and it was actually sliding backwards. Nobody was in the truck, and it was just sliding down the hill. That's how steep our hill is. Nobody thinks our hill is steep, but it's bad. So anyways, we got this engine here. Paid $2,500 for it. We knew it needed a little bit of work. We were hoping it was just the blower drive shaft or something like that. $2,500 for the engine is what he paid for it, and it came with a transmission that he should be able to sell for another $1,000 probably. So $1,500 for an engine, that's a pretty good deal, as long as we don't have a lot of work to do on it. So when we got into the engine here on the property, the blower was bad. A hose clamp had somehow got into the blower, went through the blower lobes, destroyed the blower lobes, but then, because you can't squeeze it through the middle, it busted the bearings out of the blower, and the blower was in hundreds of pieces, and it was just bad. But we had the blower from his old engine to just swap onto it, so no parts involved. We just had to buy a gasket kit for it, put the new blower on it, and we're getting ready to fire it up here in just a few minutes. So we'll go through and catch you up on where we're at with this project. So here's his old blower off the other engine that we cleaned up and replacing the blower and governor on it. We're changing out the fuel pumps here. Went to put this one on, and I can't even turn it by hand. Where's the key at for it? I put the drive key on it. It's very hard. And it doesn't want, it's like it's terrible. It feels horrible. I put some oil in it just to lube things up a little bit, but it's not worth it. So this one's not going on there. We had a fuel pump on the other one we're gonna replace it with. So he's just now scraping the gasket off on the other one. We gotta swap a few fittings around on it, and then we'll have it ready to go. So this one here, you can see I can turn it by my fingers. That's how easy it turns. And then when I put this on there, and really, no problem. One finger, holding it tight. Can't do that with the other one. So we're just getting everything back together on this. We're gonna run it on the stand. Just get ready to put the fuel pump on it now. The governor's all back together. And the blower's on, the turbo's on. We're waiting to tighten the turbo all the way down until we get these pipes on. But that's all hooked up. We'll be running it on the stand here. So the battery terminal open uppers. Should be enough to get it on, I think. All right, we are just about ready to hit the go button. Got that little remote starter button hooked up to it. Okay, we're getting ready to start this thing. I think I got all the oil lines taken care of. So we got these hydraulic lines that might spit out some mess. Bucket on. That's our fuel return. We have the fresh fuel jug down there. This oil line right here goes to the oil pressure gauge. I just kind of zip tied it in there to let it, hopefully it doesn't spray out too much and make a big old mess. We got the vice grips on the rack, so if we need to shut it down, got that. Everything is hooked up and ready to go. This is an air line for the shutdown. There's not gonna be any air because the air's disconnected, but there is no shutdown on here, so we'll shut down by hand. It's got oil in it, and we just want to hear it run for a few seconds. That's a coolant line over there. Yeah, we're just gonna let it run for a few seconds just to make sure it runs and see what it sounds like. And then we're gonna shut her down right away. And if there is a catastrophic issue, we have a block of plywood here. I can go right over that, shut it down. I mean, we only got a gallon of fuel. We can pull that off. We got a fuel shut-off valve right there. Got 24 volts batteries hooked up here. She should start up, and it was running when it came in to the shop with that bad blower on it. So it's supposed to be a good running motor before that. So let's hope that it is, because we've put some time into it, and Ricky's definitely invested some money into it. So let's see what happens here. Okay, go ahead and clip the big thing to the terminal there on the positive. Just the wing nut's fine. Okay, yeah, I think we're about ready here. You're gonna be in charge of that board if you need to shut it down with the board. I'm gonna take the governor rack here. I'm gonna turn it to no fuel. Go ahead and just bump the starter for a second. It's definitely turning over. Let it turn over. What? Oh yeah, I knew it would. From the manifold or from the pipe? Yeah. Go ahead and turn it over for, I got it in the off position. Turn it over for about just 2 seconds, just to, go ahead. That was in the off position. Wow. I didn't expect to get a face full of smoke. I probably want to move my vice grips to the other side. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna hold it to off. He's gonna go to start it, and then I'm gonna give it some fuel, and she should start up. I'm gonna get blasted with smoke here. Stay back a little bit. Okay, go ahead and hit the button. Hang on a second. Yep, go ahead. Okay, it runs. Okay, that's enough for us to know that it's going to run. It sounds good. It smoked a little bit at startup, but it cleared up almost instantly. There's a little fuel starvation problem there. I think it died at the end, but that's just because we had that fuel pump off and everything, and I only primed it enough to probably just hit the injectors a few times. Not a big deal, but I don't want to run it dry because we don't, and there's hydraulic lines there. We're not running those hydraulic pumps with no fluid in them, and the water pump, I don't want that to, to not have stuff going through it. So we got to get it. And now it's the point where it can go into the bus, and we'll go from there. But yeah, everything sounded, it's going to run. It's going to run. It's going to be a nice motor. We'll go from there. One other thing before we put it in the bus, we know it needs new exhaust manifold gaskets, so we're going to get those ordered and get those on there.
Grease monkey, don't you know? It's that bus grease monkey, don't you know? It's that bus grease monkey, don't you know?